a goals against average of 4.83. Opening on the defense will be Tim Hoover and another former Fredericton player, Claude Julien. The forward line on left wing, Larry DePalma with 2 assists in the Skipjacks. Absolutely spellbinding, riveting victory here on Thursday night against Newmarket. Larry DePalma at center, another former Fredericton Express forward, Terry Perkins, and on right wing, yet another former Fredericton Express forward, the Jacks captain and only player to play every game this season, the league's 17th best scorer, Doug Shedd. Out in the lineup for the Jacks tonight, Sean Dedeen, Val James, Britt Peer, Byron Lomo, and Steve Sagan will attempt to ascertain the matter. With Steve Sagan, he was a late scratch for tonight's game. From the face-off, referee tonight is Rob Schick, linesman Gary Madsen, and Steve Miller. Jacks will control at center zone. Terry Perkins on the left side, checked by Poudre, who steers in the Baltimore zone. Tracked down deep in the right corner by Claude Julien. Rounding then on the left side, Lanthier leaning on him from behind, forcing Julien to clear to the line. The Poudre point shot was blocked in front by Tim Hoover, and he just clutches it to his chest right on the Jacks' crest. No further play at the 22-second mark. First period here at the Baltimore Arena, and the game is scoreless. This is game 6 of a 10-game, 19-day road trip for the Express. They are winless in the first 5, 4 defeats and a tie. They've lost the last 3 in a row, including a 5-2 setback at Hershey last night in a game that they were outshot 54-26 by the Bears. Face-off circle left of Gordon, Jack's goal. Perkins in the face-off at Rolacek, his former teammate. He won it, and for the left wing boards, Tim Hoover sails it to the Fredericton line, where Daniel Poudre on the right side fires it down ice, chugging after it. Right corner is Lanthier. That nullifies icing. Now Lanthier tried to spin off the check of Hoover, who reached back and spilled him. Hoover sends Shedden on his way on left wing at center over the Fredericton line, leaves it left circle for Perkins, right in front for Julien, pouring it from the right point, and it crawled off his stick, and it comes all the way back to center. Controlled by Albrecht. Albrecht launches one into the Fredericton right corner behind the defense is Shedden. Doug Shedden swoops in behind the goal. On the left wing boards, he still has it. Upended by Rolacek, who rolls it down ice right to Scott Gordon, who drove it up on right wing at center for Doug Shedden, and that one traveled over 2 lines. And the Jacks are called on the 2-line pass originating from Scott Gordon at the Jacks goal crease over their own blue line and the center red line before reached by Doug Shedden on right wing, and the Jacks are called on the offside. The face-off forthcoming at the origination of the ill-fated pass. It'll be top of the circle right of Gordon in the Jacks goal. 1:12 gone, first period, game scoreless from the Baltimore Arena. Brimmer in the face-off, wins it for the Jacks in front of the goal for Albrecht. Albrecht's passing congestion halted at center by Ladislav Kressel, the Czechoslovakian. He sends it to the Baltimore line. Gagne, the hero Thursday night, sends it back to center. Ian Kidd on right wing. He'll control the former standout from North Dakota University on left wing at the Baltimore line for Kressel, and that's offside. Trevor Steinberg was offside in the center lane, coming across from the right side for the Express. No further play. Steinberg is a second-year pro, both with Fredericton, and he is a former #1 draft of Quebec, vintage 1984. He, of course, played in the OHL Junior A with first Guelph and then London. From the faceoff, Brimmer controls at his own line. He just directs it to an open left wing all the way down ice. Charging after it is Driscoll. That nullifies icing as he overpowers the defenseman Kidd and then centered one. And Gagne, pouring in for the right point, could control him. Back come the Express. Lotta to center, steps it over the Baltimore line. Lotta along the center point area. Backhands behind the goal. Gordon stepped out aggressively. Drove it along the boards on the left side of his own line for Brimmer. Brimmer really cracked Kidd, who is pinching in from the point as he sends it into Fredericton territory. And from in front of the Express goal, Robin Bartel just launched one into the Fredericton penalty box. And first-year coach player B.J. McDonald, one of the original line mates of the great one, Wayne Gretzky, with the Edmonton Oilers, caught it. And he just drifted it about 6 rows up into the crowd to an admiring Skipjack fan. Faceoff will be rim of the circle right of Darren Jensen, the former Hershey Bear and Philadelphia Flyers goaltender. No in the faceoff with Roger Lafreniere. Lafreniere controlled it behind the goal for Richard. Back for Lafreniere at his own line. Now Roger Lafreniere at center. At the Baltimore line, his pass halted by No, who explodes the center. J.F. No charging in behind the Fredericton goal. Crunched there on the defense by Scott Shaughnessy, the rookie from Boston University. Controlled deep in the Fredericton right corner by Mike Natashak. Whistle sounds. And I think that there is a pane of glass that has come ajar of its stanchions deep in the Fredericton left wing corner across the way from us at the point of impact. So that'll produce a face-off circle right of Jensen in the Fredericton goal. Jensen was obtained by Parent Club Vancouver in a 3-player deal that saw Vancouver send Wendell Young, now the Hershey Bears premier goaltender, to Philadelphia for Jensen and defenseman Darryl Stanley. The latter has been performing all season, though an injury-riddled one with the Vancouver Canucks. They continue to refasten the glass to its moorings deep in the Fredericton left wing corner along the backboards. 17:29 left, first period. The game is scoreless. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Baltimore Skipjacks Hockey Network. Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. We have an update on Skipjack's left wing Steve Seguin, who was a late scratch for tonight's game. Seguin, of course, as you know, has been really dogged by groin maladies this season, and apparently he has suffered a slight recurrence of that groin injury, and general manager coach Gino Briaco has decided to rest Seguin tonight. Jacques Mayotte, the former Fredericton left wing, was to be deactivated tonight, but I believe he is in uniform. He was acquired 2 weeks ago through Parent Club Quebec. Binghamton here on Saturday night. It's another Skipjack giveaway night. 3,000 Skipjacks caps will be given away next Saturday night at 7:30 for the Jacks and the Whalers. And 1 week from tonight, a special 8 p.m. starting time for the Jacks and the Hershey Bears. From the face-off, Boylan's point shot right on. Jensen the save. Rebound behind the goal for Richard, clearing to the line. Kennedy holds it in right point, firing, and Armstrong in front was deflecting the puck as he was wrapped up from behind by Shaughnessy, and the fight is on. It's along the offensive left wing boards below us. Ian Armstrong for the Jacks, and the strapping 6'4", 220-pound Boston University rookie Scott Shaughnessy, and Armstrong is just all over Shaughnessy. He has removed his helmet almost. He has blinded Shaughnessy by pulling the helmet over his eyes, and he's administering punishment. It has resorted to a wrestling exhibition with the two now tumbling deep in the Fredericton right wing corner below us. Ian Armstrong, the Jacks' most penalized player, and Scott Shaughnessy, Fredericton's most penalized player. So perhaps that altercation would be appropriate. Armstrong for the Jacks, who has made a remarkable transformation from defense to right wing. And Shaughnessy, the rookie from Boston University in the Quebec Nordiques organization. Our first upheaval of the night at 2:48 of the opening period. There'll be 5-minute fighting majors, maybe more. We'll await the official call. The game is scoreless here at the Baltimore Arena. This is a Fredericton team that has been on top of the Northern Division standings for almost the entire season. Here are the penalties. Shaughnessy, 2 minutes for holding and 5 minutes for fighting. And Ian Armstrong for the Jacks, 2 minutes for instigating and 5 minutes for fighting. And the time, 2:48, so 7 minutes apiece for those two hombres. And neither team, therefore, penalized skaters. From the faceoff, in the Baltimore zone, inside the line of the left boards, defenseman Dave Moylan drifts one to the Fredericton line. Daniel Poudre from there on the right side sends it wiggling in behind the Jacks goal, rounding the net with it on the left side is Moylan. Leading on left wing in his own line for Mayotte. Rink-wadded right wing at center for Shedden, who steps in over the Fredericton line with a rocketing, rising shot that disappears over the glass and into the crowd. No further play. Doug Shedden had a rolling puck to contend with just as he stepped in over the Fredericton line on right wing. And he boomed a rocket, and that rocket just continued to rise until it disappeared into the crowd. 16:52 left, opening period. We've lacked sustained action thus far. The game scoreless. Terry Perkins without a goal in his last 7 games, though he assisted twice in the Skipjacks histrionics here on Thursday night in the faceoff with Rolacek. The latter controls. Jeff Rolacek, the second-year pro from Chicago, back into his own zone on the right boards for Poudrier. Up the boards at center for Jean-Marc Lanthier. He scampers in over the Baltimore line. He was thumped at the top of the circle by Hoover, who tipped him over. Controlled behind the goal by Perkins. He drove it around the right wing boards, but Rolacek is waiting for it there. Behind the goal for Lanthier. Now Jean-Marc Lanthier centered it right through the crease. Comes back to the right point for Poudrier, pinching in through the circle, evading the check of De Palma. Back to the left point for Agnew. Agnew drove it in behind the goal for Lanthier. Now Jean-Marc Lanthier wheels side of the goal right in front for Huff. Shooting blocked by Hoover. Controlled in front by Doug Shedden. Romping to center over the Fredericton line on the left wing. Leaves it for the trailer Perkins. Perkins into the corner for De Palma. Larry De Palma in behind the Fredericton goal. Checked by Poudrier, who controls it on the right wing boards for Rolacek. And Jeff Rolacek drove it cross ice to the Baltimore line. Julian on the right defense from there. Sends it into the Fredericton zone. Covering in front of the goal. Agnew barely ahead of the onrushing Doug Shedden. Agnew across on the right defense for Kidd and back the other way for Agnew. Jim Agnew on left wing at center. His pass was halted by Gagne at center for Chuck Brimmer, who steams in over the Fredericton line. He was squeezed along the boards by Agnew, who rubbed him up. Then Tressel really crunched. Miller in the right corner. Action halted the glass. The same pain has come ajar of its moorings again. At the point of impact again. That time Tressel, Ladislav Tressel, crunched his former Fredericton teammate Keith Miller. And Miller at 6'2" and 215. And the impact again for the second time early in this game forces the pane of glass to come ajar of its moorings. And we'll start the process in the Fredericton goal. It'll be Chuck Brimmer for the Jacks, who's been rather quiet in his last 6 games after an auspicious beginning in the faceoff with Ladislav Tressel. Won by Brimmer, top of the left circle. Driscoll fanned on the shot, but contained left point by Albrecht. He falls as he tried to slip one in front for Driscoll. Then Kidd stepped in front of that one with excellent anticipation. Ian Kidd around the boards on left wing at center for Dave Latta over the Baltimore line. He sent Steinberg charging after it into the left corner. Swept away neatly by Albrecht, but contained right point by Kidd with a rising shot right on. And that high drive was pulled out high by Scott Gordon, who located that one in his radar screen. No further play. 14:56 left, first period, game scoreless. And we've really lacked any form of sustained action thus far. Faceoff will be circle left of Gordon in the Jacks goal. Chuck Brimmer for the Jacks. And Ladislav Tressel, the rookie 10th round draft of the Quebec Nordiques in the faceoff. He's one of 2 Czechoslovakians in the lineup tonight. The other one is Yaroslav Sefcik, who has not seen any duty thus far. Now from the faceoff, Chuck Brimmer in the middle at center. Floats one in off the Fredericton backboards. Digging it after it is Kidd, surrounded by Miller and Brimmer. Now Kidd up the boards at center for Tressel over the Baltimore line. On the right side for Steinberg. He tried to slip it back to the trailer Tressel. Moylan was in the way. Dave Moylan sends it to the Fredericton line. Controlled by Jean-Marc Richard. Richard to center at the Baltimore line. Shoots right on. The pad saved by Gordon. Rebound to the Jacks right boards, and Moylan sends it back into Fredericton territory. Controlled on the defense there by Poudrier. Daniel Poudrier on the right side at his own line for Lafreniere. Off his stick to center where Bob Kennedy does a sleek spin around and returns it into the Fredericton zone. Poudrier in the right circle. Leaves it there for Lafreniere. Now Roger Lafreniere. Up on left wing at center for Sefcik. Back the other way for Poudrier. Poudrier over the Baltimore line around Hoover. Shoots right on. Gordon the save. The rebound in the crease. They score. I believe they score was Sefcik. The red light is on and Fredericton leads 1-0. Scott Gordon failed to control the rebound. It slithered away from his catching glove. He was attempting to scoop it up. It was an ill-fated effort, and Sepsic, in his first shift of the night, breezing by the doorstep, dragged it home on the backhander at 6:08. And the Express, winless in its first 5 games of this 10-game, 19-day road trip, claim a 1-0 lead. Yaroslav Sepsic, the 9th round draft last season of Quebec, with his 6th goal this season. Now from the faceoff, Tim Hoover on left wing at center. Drove it across in the Fredericton left wing corner. Digging in after it is Terry Perkins. Perkins back to the right point for Julian. It didn't make it there. Huff blocked it. Controlled by Poudrier. Poudrier at center for Lanthier. Jean-Marc Lanthier reaches the Baltimore line and then curls back to center with Hoover forcing the issue high. Lanthier for Poudrier. Daniel Poudrier is stride outside the Baltimore line at left wing. Drove it in behind the goal. Claimed there by Terry Perkins. Up on right wing at his own line for Shedden. It jumped over a stick into the Fredericton zone. Recaptured there on the left side by Richard in the middle at center for Lanthier, who hits the Baltimore line on the left wing boards. Working on Albrecht, who rode him off, and the Jacks are away. Terry Perkins springs to center at the Newmarket line on right wing for Shedden. Shedden wheels into the corner, taken down by Agnew, who sprawls on top of the puck. They continue to tangle for it there. Finally worked loose by Rolacek, jammed at the backboards into the corner by Perkins. Now finally Perkins spills Rolacek. Rolacek checked there by Shedden. Now Shedden to the side of the goal, slips him behind the goal, poked off his stick neatly by Kidd. Perkins was stapled to the backboards by Agnew, and Fredericton is away. Lanthier at his own line. In the middle at center for Huff, who swept it in behind the Baltimore goal. Rounding the net on the right side is Albrecht. Leading on right wing at center for Shedden. Beyond him, all the way back behind the Fredericton goal. Pulling up for it there is Ladislav Tressel. Dishing to the right boards for Kidd. Ian Kidd at his own line, motoring to center. The pass knocked down by Albrecht, comes back to Kidd center circle. On left wing for Dave Loud at the Baltimore line, and Gagne was there. Gagne across on the left defense for Albrecht. Up on left wing at center for Keith Miller, who drove it in behind the Fredericton goal. Bartel behind the goal. His pass seized left corner by Miller. Left point for Albrecht with a shot. Kicked off by Jensen. Rebound along the boards. Albrecht was upended by Steinberg as he was pitching in. It comes back to the Baltimore line. Gagne on the right side will control it. Wayne Gagne at center. Rick Watt at left wing for Miller. Miller over the Fredericton line, skated off as he reached the circle by Kidd, who overpowered him. Now Kidd at center for Tressel. Ladislav Tressel at the Baltimore line, poked off his stick by Gagne. Controlled at the Baltimore line on the left defense by Albrecht. Up the boards at center for Miller. Miller hits the Fredericton line with a shot. That was deflected harmlessly into the Fredericton left corner by Poudrier. Controlled there by Bartel. He snapped one back to center zone, where Bob Kennedy on right wing for the Jacks wraps it right back behind the Fredericton goal. Jensen with Meitner bearing down on him. Drove it around the left wing boards. Kicked him behind the goal by Kennedy for Meitner. Right in front for no, and he was checked at the last instant by Poudrier. Poudrier sends Lafreniere on his way to center. Roger Lafreniere over the Baltimore line left circle for Sepsic, who's right in on goal with a shot. Gordon the save as Sepsic crashed into Gordon, and Gordon landed into the back of the net. Puck skids in behind the goal again. Dug out by Lafreniere. Roger Lafreniere wheels to the side of the goal. Action halted. Mike Danishek is crashed to the ice by the Skipjack player Jacques Maillot. There was going to be a penalty coming up, I believe, to Fredericton to begin with. Boy, Mike Danishek was just cracked down in front of the goal by his former teammate Jacques Maillot. I believe there was a Fredericton penalty coming up as Danishek and Sepsic were creating a disturbance, a major disturbance at the edge of the Jacks crease. Agnew and Danishek are being chased by Fredericton. I believe there's been a 10-minute misconduct doled out as well. Jacques Maillot will be banished. Boy, did he ever drum Mike Danishek, the rookie from Bowling Green, to the ice with a robust body belt. Old Danishek, Mike Danishek received a double fistful of facial lathering and massage from the two gloves of Maillot in combination. This skirmish occurring at 9:25 We have a break in the action. It appears that the Skipjacks will have their first power play of the night. They're 1 for 28 in that department in the last 7 games. They trail. It's Fredericton 1, the Jacks nothing on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
A double minor for high sticking. And number 33, Jim Agnew, a 10-minute misconduct. Skipjacks penalty, number 20, Jacques Mayotte, 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct. Time of the penalties, 9:25. Fredericton penalties to number 10, Mike Natashak, a double minor for high sticking. And number 33, Jim Agnew, a 10-minute misconduct.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. Here are the penalties. For Fredericton, Mike Natashak receives a double minor, 4 minutes for high sticking, and Jim Agnew a 10-minute misconduct. For the Jacks, Jacques Mayotte 2 minutes for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct, all called at 9:25. So the Skipjacks will have their first power play of the night. They trail 1-0 on Yaroslav Sefcik's 6th goal of the season from Daniel Poudre and Jason Lafreniere at 6:08. Max Tindendorf, the rookie from Sudbury and Kitchener of the OHL Junior A, who has not seen any ice time tonight, will serve the minor penalty, the first minor to Natashak. Face-off circle left of Gordon Jack's goal. From the face-off, Perkins won it. For De Palma, easing it in behind the goal very delicately for Julian. Now Claude Julien will engineer the power play rush. Angling it up on left wing at center for Shedney. Couldn't hold the pass. Gobbled up by Mike Huff. Now Huff will curl all the way back in front of his own goal. Huff at his own line. He'll curl all the way back inside the zone. Dishes all the way to the right circle low for Ian Kidd. And Kidd from low in the circle rifles it down ice. 1:27 for the power play as Wayne Gagne cavorts behind the goal to cradle it, leaving for Shedden, who rounds the net on the right side. Now the Jacks captain is underway, dodging the check of Huff at center. Shedden steps it over the Fredericton line, pulls up left board. Center point for Gagne. Gagne into the right corner for Perkins to chase it down. Overpowered behind the goal by Bartel and fired down ice from there by Ian Kidd. 1 minute for the power play as Julian rounds the net on the right side. Now Claude Julien forced deep into the corner by Rolacek, who's really tormenting him. Now Julien finally leaves in front of the goal for Larry De Palma, romping up the left side at center. De Palma over the Fredericton line, drove it in behind the goal. Jensen stepped out in front of the anticipating Terry Perkins, but it's contained right point by Gagne. Side of the goal for Perkins, right in front for Shedden at the crease, and it dribbled off his stick. All the way across to the Fredericton right boards, where Lafreniere sends it down ice. 27 seconds for the power play. Wayne Gagne at his own line springs to center over the Fredericton line. Right circle for Shedden, shooting! The pad save by Jensen with Perkins toppled down the rebound attempt in front by Tressel. Contained left point by Julian. In the circle for Shedden, who fanned on the centering pass. And Dave Latta seizes it and fires it down ice. The penalty is over. Jacks are now 1 for 29 on the power play in their last 8 games. Julian behind the goal. Slips it up on right wing at his own line for J.F. No. No at center, thumped by Tressel. He sends Steinberg in over the Baltimore line. He was jolted by Driscoll, who really spilled him. Covering behind the Jacks goal is Kennedy. Leading on left wing at his own line for Miller. His pass halted at center by Latta. Over the Baltimore line, left circle for Tressel with a shot, and he ripped it wide. Rebound caroms off the Jacks corner boards to center zone, where No steals from Kidd. JF No hits the Fredericton line, pulls up but forgot the puck. Back comes Fredericton. Steinberg on left wing at center. Zooming in over the Baltimore line, working on Kennedy, around Kennedy in the circle. Steinberg fired, and that was wide. Rebound up the Baltimore left boards, controlled by Driscoll. Tim Driscoll at center, Rick wide to an open wing. Control back at the Fredericton defense by Bartel. Now Robin Bartel comes all the way across on right wing at center to backhand behind the Jacks goal. Gordon himself drove it around the boards on right wing at his own line for J.F. No. In the middle at center for Meitner behind him. Sees center circle by Poudre, drifting in and off the Baltimore backboards. Covering up the carom there is Kennedy. Rubbed out robustly by Huff, but covering deep in the Jacks left corner is Brimmer. Up the boards at his own line for Meitner, who sent it to center zone. Controlled there by Poudre on left wing. His rink wide pass was halted by Meitner. Rink wide on right wing for Brimmer at the Fredericton line. Skated off by Huff, and back comes Fredericton. Poudre strinking to center. Daniel Poudre storming into the Baltimore low behind the goal. He rolled one right in front. The backhander by Rolacek, and Gordon the save at point blank range. Puck behind the goal again for Rolacek. He was crushed by De Palma, who muscled him in a mighty move. The two topple up the backboards. Digging it out is Rolacek, rolling it to the crease. Gordon collects that one. Up on right wing at his own line for Brimmer, and the Jacks are away. Brimmer at center. Chuck Brimmer over the Fredericton line around. Poudre right in front for Meitner. Shot, he scores! Charlie Meitner. Jacks tie at 1-1. That time finessed his way out, boxed it out, finessed Daniel Poudre as he pulled his way in over that Fredericton line. Found Charlie Meitner right in front. Meitner had penetrated after Brimmer had occupied Poudre on that Fredericton defense. And Meitner, who sat out the Thursday night victory, really zincs home his 9th goal of the campaign. Meitner from Brimmer and Bob Kennedy at 13:27. And the Jacks have deadlock batters here at 1-1. Meitner's 9th from Brimmer and Kennedy. And boy, Charlie Meitner really ripped one. It was right in the slot between the hash marks in front of goaltender Aaron Jensen. Chuck Brimmer really was the supreme catalyst as he was able to outfox, out-finesse the defenseman Daniel Poudre. Left Poudre in his wake, and then just feathered one with a velvet touch to Charlie Meitner. And Meitner had penetrated through the opening created by Brimmer's occupying of the defense, and he sizzled it home. 6:33 left first period. The shots on goal are even at 5-5. We're even Steven on the scoreboard at 1-1. Now Tim Hoover on right wing at center for the Jacks. Sailed it in behind the Fredericton goal. Controlled by Ian Kidd. Barely escaping the clutches of the forechecking Keith Miller. Now Kidd up on left wing. At his own line for Lafreniere. Roger Lafreniere to center over the Baltimore line. Sends Matacek chasing it down behind the goal. Thrown to the ice by Perkins, who really rubbed him out robustly. But contained on the right point by Kidd. His rink-wide pass stolen at center by Terry Perkins, who storms in over the Fredericton line. Perkins delivers it across left wing boards for Shedden. Rink-wide right point for Julian with a shot. Kicked out by Jensen. Rebound to the Fredericton right boards for Natashak. Now Mike Natashak through center. At the Jacks line on left wing for Sefcik. He has to curl back to center to retrieve it. Seized there, though, by Tim Hoover with anticipation. And Hoover from center circle. Hoists one in behind the Fredericton goal. Covering is Scott Shaughnessy on the defense. Dishing left corner for Sefcik. Sidestepping the check of Shedden. Angling it across on right wing at his own line for Richard. In the middle at center for Lafreniere. He sends Steinberg digging after it in the Baltimore right corner. Now Steinberg trying to center one in front. That one was weak. Blocked by Albrecht and sailed down ice from the left side by Meitner. Touched behind the Fredericton goal by Shaughnessy, and the Jacks are charged for icing. A break of the action. 5:09 left first period. Jacks 1, Fredericton 1 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
And bring it to the scores table prior to the end of the first period this evening. We invite everyone to participate in this worthy cause for the benefit of the American Cancer Society.
Back to the play. Puck at center zone. Fredericton will control. Tressel back to his own line on the redirect for Richard. Back in the middle at center. Richard for Steinberg, forced all the way back into his own zone by the forechecking persistence of first Albrecht forcing the issue high, and then Charlie Meitner. Finally controlled in front of the goal by Shaughnessy. On left wing at center, crisply for Tressel over the Baltimore line. Thumped down the defense by a falling Ian Armstrong and fired down ice by Albrecht. Armstrong is on right wing. He had backed up Gagne. Controlled at the Fredericton line by Jacques Richard. Richard's pass glanced off Albrecht at center zone. Deflects into the Baltimore zone. Covering at the line is J.F. Doe. Doe at center for De Palma, and that was deflected away at center circle over the glass into the crowd at center zone by Robin Bartel, the former Canadian Olympic defenseman. No further play. 4:19 left, first period. It's a 1-1 tie. Sefcik sixth from Poudre and Lafreniere. Lafreniere at 6:08. Lafreniere has spent most of this season really with Quebec. And then Meitner's ninth from Brimmer and Kennedy at 13:27 to equalize it for the homestanding Jacks. Stay tuned. We'll salute our Skipjack fan of the game coming up at our first intermission tonight. Now from the face-off, the puck squirms into the Baltimore zone, and on a delay, the whistle sounds. Jean-Marc Lanthier, the Fredericton captain, was offside on right wing. No further play. Lanthier is a 24-year-old, 5-year pro, a former draft of Vancouver. He spent most of the 85-86 season with the Canucks. He is the fourth leading scorer in the league with 82 points on 29 goals and 53 assists. His 53 assists are a Fredericton franchise record. He has 36 points in his last 19 games, 6 goals and 30 assists. Now from the face-off, puck deep in the offensive left wing corner, digging in for it there. Behind the goal is Lanthier. He tried to roll one in front. That one was weak, blocked by De Palma. It squirms dangerously to the doorstep, swept away by Perkins, but seized in the left corner by Lanthier. Lanthier tried to swing in front from there, and he was detoured from that path by Moylan, who pinned him to the backboards, allowing Gordon to bounce out from the crease and pounce on it to the right side of the goalpost. No further play. 3:47 left, first period, and it's a 1-1 tie from the Baltimore Arena. Jacks have outshot Fredericton 6-5 in this period. Jacks have won 2 in a row twice this season, representing their longest winning streaks of the campaign. Face-off circle right of Gordon, Jack's goal. It'll be Brimmer and Rolacek. Jacks minus Steve Sagan tonight with a recurrence of his groin injury. Won by Brimmer behind the goal for Hoover, leading sharply at his own line on left wing for Miller, who turned it over to Poudre at center point. His shot struck Julian in front. Claude Julien sends Miller on his way on left wing at center, but he overskated the puck. Controlled instead by Huff. Mike Huff barrels in over the Baltimore line. Slammed down by Julian, who really rocked and rolled him. Back comes Fredericton again, though. Over the Baltimore line, roll the check right circle. Centered it. Blocked in front by Brimmer. Controlled on left wing by Miller. Jacks break out. Now Keith Miller to center, and he overskated the puck again. Controlled all the way back into the Fredericton zone by Huff. Now Mike Huff in the middle at center for Poudre, firing a rising shot brought down by Gordon, leaving it left side of the goal for Claude Julien. Julien in front of the goal, angling it across on right wing at center for Albrecht, rolling it into the Fredericton zone. Covering in front of the goal, Kidd across on the left defense for Richard. In the middle at center for Lafreniere, over the Baltimore line left wing for Sefcik, behind Julien, right in on goal. Sefcik shoots and scores! Yaroslav Sefcik does it again, and Fredericton leads again, 2-1. Boy, Sefcik just turned on the jets, and he left a sprawling Claude Julien in his rooster tailing wake as he just streaked right in on top of Gordon and powered it home at 17-16. And Fredericton has reclaimed the lead late in the opening period at 2-1. From the faceoff, Jackson controlled their own line. Albrecht on the left defense. He wheels in the middle at center, launches one in behind the Fredericton goal. Covering up there, Richard. Richard checked by Shedden. Shedden right in front for Perkins, and he whipped the backhander just wide. Puck along the Fredericton right wing boards for Ian Kidd. Kidd in the middle at center for Richard. Over the Baltimore line on left wing for Sefcik. Sefcik pulls up, centered it. Blocked in front by Perkins. Now Terry Perkins for the Jacks, romps to center, over the Fredericton line. Perkins wheels right in front for De Palma, leaving it there for Gundy with a shot kicked out by Jensen. And back comes Fredericton. Mike Nanashek on right wing at center, shoots right on. Gordon the save, a tantalizing rebound right in front. Seized by Sefcik, poked off his stick, this time to center though by Albrecht. Control by Bartel, slipping it in over the Baltimore line for Sefcik, dishing left circle for Steinberg, who does a pirouette along the boards, evading the check of Gagne. Steinberg centered it. Blocked in front by Meitner. Charlie Meitner to center, wraps it over the Fredericton line. All the way across to the right boards for No. No pulls up, but lost control to Lotta. Lotta at center, stripped to the puck by a recovering JF No. And No returns it in behind the Fredericton goal with 1:18 left in the opening period. 2-1 Fredericton. Controlled in the express left wing corner by Shaughnessy. He drove it into Baltimore territory. Moreland dashes half, left it in front of the goal for Kennedy. Bob Kennedy along the boards on the left side. Checked by Lotta, who steals. Lotta deep in the right wing corner. Back to the right point for Kidd. Across to the left point for Shaughnessy. Stolen by Kennedy. Kennedy at center for No. Steps into the Fredericton line around. Kennedy's ready on goal. No fired. Oh, what a save by Darren Jensen, who pounces on top of that one acrobatically. No further play. Oh, that was a dazzling singular bid by JF No. A break of the action. Fredericton 2, Jacks 1 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Next season. Let's keep hockey in Baltimore. Reserve your season tickets tonight. For more information, please contact the Jack Sales Department at 727-0703.
Now from the face-off, final 40 seconds of the opening period, Fredericton controls behind the goal. Ian Kidd on the defense. Up on left wing at center for Poudrier, stroking one into the Baltimore left corner. Charging after it is Tim Hoover. Now Hoover up the boards for Brimmer. Now Chuck Brimmer just clears the zone. Control by Kidd at center. Left it there for Huff. Huff over the Baltimore line, left circle for Lanthier, around a sprawling Tim Hoover, but jammed off his stick as he was reaching the crease area by Gordon, and the Jacks are away. Keith Miller romps to center at the Fredericton line, shoots right on. Jensen the save, that one nearly handcuffed him. Puck all the way behind the Fredericton goal, fired to center by Kidd. 4 seconds for the period as Julian from center drifts one to the Fredericton line as the horn sounds, symbolizing the conclusion. Terry Piccarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. We're all set for second period action. Fredericton 2, the Jacks 1. Yaroslav Sefcik has accounted for both of the express goals. Jason Lafreniere has assisted on both. Charlie Meitner has been responsible for the Jacks' only goal from Brimmer and Kennedy in 13:27. Jacks outshot Fredericton 10-8 in the opening period, which was scarred by 8 penalties for 40 minutes, 4 for 41 minutes for Fredericton, 4 for 19 minutes for the Jacks. From the face-off, Darren Jensen and goal to our right for Fredericton, and Scott Gordon goal to our left for the Jacks as you look into your radio. Controlled in the Fredericton zone in the left corner by Agnew. Watched all the way in behind the goal by Shedden, badgering. Now Agnew finally sheds the Shedden check. Feeding in the middle at center for Rolacek, who wrapped it in behind the goal. Gordon steps out, holds there for De Palma. De Palma leaves for Julian. Julian on left wing at his own line for No. JF No to center at the Fredericton line. Shoots right on. Stick save Jensen. Rebound to the Fredericton right circle. Control by Jean-Marc Lanthier. Evading the checks of De Palma and Shedden. Lanthier at center. Skated off though by JF No on the left side. And No rolls it all the way back behind the Fredericton goal. Hurrying after it with urgency is Poudrier with De Palma in pursuit. Poudrier at center for Rolacek over the Baltimore line. Leaving for Steinberg, right wing boards for Olada. He came off the boards and fanned on the shot as Shedden really bruised him. And Larry De Palma controls. De Palma to center over the Fredericton line on the left boards for Shedden. He centered one in front. Nobody home. Jacks were changing. Back comes Fredericton. At center zone, Steinberg on right wing. Now Steinberg steps into the Baltimore line, skidded off by Keith Miller, who leaves it in the left circle for Albrecht. In the middle at center for Ian Armstrong. He steers into Fredericton territory. Controlled in front of the goal by Kidd. His pass halted right wing boards by Armstrong. Poking it into the corner for Perkins, who drove it around the backboards. All the way to the left point for Albrecht pinching in. Cliff Albrecht behind the goal for Armstrong, pulling up. Leaves it there for Perkins, checked by Kidd. And Ian Kidd rakes it off the right wing boards, down ice to alleviate skipjack pressure. Reached behind the goal by Gagne. Fredericton charged for icing as the Jacks' 10-minute misconduct to Jacques Mayotte expires at the 1:50 mark, second period. 2-1, Fredericton. The face-off will originate circle right of Darren Jensen in the Fredericton goal. Jensen is the 27-year-old fifth-year pro who spent almost one full season with the Philadelphia Flyers. He was the second winningest goaltender and the most active goaltender as far as games played were concerned last season with the Hershey Bears. 26 victories and 53 games for Jensen last season. Perkins and Lafreniere on the faceoff. Won by Roger Lafreniere. He sends Jean-Marc Richard capering after it behind the goal. Richard leads it his own life for Lafreniere, evading the check of Moylan, who's trapped at center. Over the Baltimore line on right wing for Richard, swerving through the worst circle. The centered one right through the crease, all the way to the Baltimore right circle. Then Ian Armstrong is there to sweep it down ice. They'll negate icing. Shaughnessy behind the goal. In pursuit, Perkins. He forces Shaughnessy just rolling into the Baltimore zone. Controlled by Moylan across on the right defense for Julian at his own line, leading for Keith Miller. Miller bulls his way to center. Over the Fredericton line, skated off on the defense in front of the goal by Richard, but then Armstrong bowled over Lafreniere in front, right to the doorstep for Perkins with a shot. He struck the side of the net. Rebound on the right point for Julian. Left point for Moylan. In the circle for Perkins. The backhand into the crease. Armstrong shoots and scores! Ian Armstrong, Jacks tie it 2-2. Coming to Fredericton, having his helmet torn off in that very physical crush at the crease, and he redirected the Terry Perkins backhanded shot through the crease into the net. At 2:43, Armstrong seventh, and he has scored a goal in each of the Jacks' 2 meetings with Fredericton. Moylan and Perkins the assists at 2:43, and the Jacks have their second tying goal of the night. Now from the faceoff, along the Jacks left wing boards, Brimmer just turned it over the blue line to Poudre, who rolled one in front, and Gagne was there to lead a three-man rush to center. Gagne streaks it over the Fredericton line. He tried to slip one in front for Driscoll, who was really barging in on the right side, and that was blocked down the defense by Poudre, who rolls it to the Baltimore line. Gagne has it again there. Wayne Gagne on right wing at center, sailed it in on goal. Caught by Jensen, leaving it behind the goal there for Poudre. Stolen by Brimmer, right in front for Driscoll, and he was wrapped up at the last split instant by Poudre. Back comes Fredericton. Over the Baltimore line, Mike Huff along the left wing boards, dragged off his stick beautifully by Julian, who slipped it behind his own goal for Albrecht, who rounds the net on the left side. Cliff Albrecht from center, sends it in on goal. Jensen collects it. Paddles it into the left wing corner for Robin Bartel, who seeks refuge with it behind the goal. Bartel banked it off the right wing boards to center, where Cliff Albrecht on the left side returns it behind the Fredericton goal. Bartel rounds the net on the right side with DePalma in pursuit. Now Robin Bartel opens up his stride at center circle, drove it into the Baltimore left corner, digging it out as Tressel, crunched by DePalma, who bowled him over with a bone-bruising body belt. DePalma up the left boards at center for No, scampering into the Fredericton line. No was rubbed out robustly along the boards by a thunderous hip check from Kidd, controlled in front of the Fredericton goal. On the defense by Robin Bartel, who wrapped it off the boards all the way behind the Jacks goal. Dug out deep in the right corner by Moylan. Up the boards at center for Shedden, off his stick to the Fredericton line. Controlled on the right defense there by the Express Ian Kidd at center. And Kidd at the Baltimore line on right wing for Dave Latta, and he's offside. No further play. 15-14 left second period, and the Jacks have jolted Fredericton with an early second period strike. Ian Armstrong seventh from Terry Perkins and Dave Moylan at 2:43, and the Jacks are back in business again. They have never led, but they have equalized matters twice now at 2-2. That early goal by Armstrong should be a favorable sign for the Jacks as far as momentum in the second period. From the face-off, puck in behind the Jacks goal. Scott Gordon steps out, sets it up for Kennedy. Now Bob Kennedy in the right corner, forced back behind the goal by the ever-present Yaroslav Sefcik. Kennedy leads on left wing at his own line for Terry Perkins, who springs to center. Perkins over the Fredericton line, slams on the brakes left boards, trying to slip one in front for Miller, who was unattended, but reaching back to block that beautifully, Lafreniere. Lafreniere to center over the Baltimore line. On right wing for Natashek. He tried to muscle his way in on goal, and Bob Kennedy leaned on him. Controlled by the Jacks. Ian Armstrong on the right side at his own line, poking it to center, where Yaroslav Sefcik returns it behind the Jacks goal. Kennedy steps out, leaves for Moylan. Moylan around the right wing boards for Armstrong. He turned it over, top of the circle to Lafreniere. He does a spinorama in the circle for Sefcik, shooting. The save by Gordon. Rebound to the left boards for Lafreniere again. This time he was jolted by Perkins, but he maintains control, spinning off the Perkins check to the left point for Shaughnessy, and the Scott Shaughnessy shot disappears over the glass into the crowd. No further play. A break of the action. Jacks 2, Fredericton 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Back to the play. Puck deep in the Jacks left corner, handled by Albrecht. He turned it over right in front to Huff, who curls back to center point instead. Now Mike Huff dishes right circle for Poudre with a shot, and he blazed it wide. The rebound skips off the stick of Agnew at the left point, back into the Fredericton zone. Mike Huff is on it there, slipping it ahead at his own line. The pass was stolen, though. Controlled at center zone by the Skipjacks. Keith Miller left it back at his own line for Gagne, who fires in behind the Fredericton goal. Tracked down there on the defense by Poudre. Around the boards on right wing at his own line for Lanthier. In the middle at center for Rolacek. I'm back for Lanthier over the Baltimore line. He leaves it for the trailer Huff, who is forced back to center zone by Chuck Brimmer's intimidating presence. Now Huff, watched all the way back to his own line by Brimmer, finally loses the Brimmer check. Now Huff from center, drove it in behind the goal, tracked down by Albrecht, dishing left corner for Gagne, but waiting for it instead was Lanthier. He centered it right off the glove of Lotta in front, and back come the Jacks. Jacques May out on right wing at center. He'll just stroke it in behind the Fredericton goal as the Jacks are changing. Rounding the net with it on the right side is Ian Kidd. Kidd at his own line up on right wing at center for Steinberg, deflected away by Moylan, controlled by the Jacks. Julian up the middle at center, Furneaux. At the Fredericton line on right wing for Shedden, broken up by Bartel. He drove it to center zone, cross ice on the right side for Kidd. At the Baltimore line for Steinberg, spun around by Moylan, and Dave Moylan will start out. In the middle at center for Shedden, who barrels into the Fredericton line right in front for no, and was kicked away with a sprawling save by Jensen at the crease with no streaking by. Puck controlled at the Fredericton line by Bartel. Robin Bartel on left wing at center. At the Baltimore line for Lotta. Back for Tressel. Now Tressel right circle for Steinberg. Forced wide of the boards by the sprawl of Moylan. Steinberg drove it in behind the goal instead for Lotta. Now Lotta spins off the check of Julian. Dave Lotta to the right point for Shaughnessy. The turnaround shot is wide. Rebound behind the goal. Corralled by Moylan as he poked it away from Lotta neatly. Dave Moylan on left wing in his own line for No. JF No from center. Sends it into the Fredericton zone. Digging in after it in the right corner is Doug Shedden. Shedden entangled by two Express players. Richard is there as well. Finally controlled in the left corner by Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy's clearing pass at his own line for Tressel. Tressel at center for Sefcik. Now Yaroslav Sefcik over the Baltimore line, leaves it on the right side for Natashek. Natashek left it right point for the trailer. Shaughnessy is pass knocked down by Miller, who leads a 3-on-2 to center. Keith Miller over the Fredericton line, right wing for Armstrong, right in front for Miller with a shot. Jensen the save. A tantalizing rebound in front, and Miller was pulled down by Sefcik. And there'll be a Fredericton penalty to Yaroslav Sefcik for holding at 8:50. A break of the action. Jacks power play coming up. It's Jacks 2 and Fredericton 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Fredericton penalty to number 26, Yaroslav Sesik. 2 minutes for holding. Time of the penalty, 8:50. Fredericton penalty to number 26, Yaroslav Sesik. 2 minutes for holding. Time of the penalty, 8:50.
Terry Ficarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. Yaroslav Sesik, though, may have prevented a rebounded shot home from Keith Miller with that tantalizing rebound slithering in front. Gagne from the right point. Left point for Albrecht, who holds. Now Albrecht across to the right corner boards for Miller. Keith Miller comes off the boards, delivering at center point for Gagne, loading the gun, shooting right on through a forest of legs. What a save by Jensen. Rebound up the Fredericton right boards for Natashak. His pass halted at center by Albrecht. Over the Fredericton line on right wing for Miller. Overpowering Agnew. Keith Miller leaves it back at right point for Gagne. Gagne wheels, shoots, kicked out by Jensen with no upended at the doorstep by Poudrier. Daniel Poudrier behind the goal. Cracked by Nose. Seized left corner by Armstrong. Back to the left point for Albrecht. Albrecht right in front with the shot, and it bowled over Armstrong in front. That hurt. Back comes Fredericton. Armstrong hobbles to the bench as Poudrier from center rolled into the Baltimore zone with a 102 for the power play. Cliff Albrecht lugs it up the left side at center. Hits the Fredericton line. Dishes left boards for De Palma. He tried to force a centering pass through in front for no. Knocked down by Poudrier, who fires it down ice. 48 seconds for the power play. Gordon slipped it right side of the goal for Gagne. He'll slip it back in behind the goal for Albrecht, angling it up on left wing at his own line for Shedden. Across on right wing at center for De Palma, storming into the Fredericton line. Skated off as he reached the corner boards by Shaughnessy, but contained right point by Julian. Back into the corner for De Palma. Along the right wing boards for Doug Shedden. Shedden comes off the board. Center point for Moylan with a shot right on. And Jensen closed the door and secures it down on both knees. No further play. 9:31 remaining for second period action, and 21 seconds remaining in the Yaroslav Sesik holding penalty issued at 8:50, and it's a 2-2 tie. We have a report on defenseman Tim Hoover, the injury-riddled one, has incurred stomach problems and nausea, but he may still return tonight. I tell you, Tim Hoover has just been plagued with injuries, maladies, ailments, illnesses all season long. Face-off circle right of Jensen, Fredericton goal. 9:31 for the middle period. Jacks have tied it on the Ian Armstrong goal at 2:43 earlier in the stanza. Perkins won the face-off, delivers at center point for Julian. Julian whips it in behind the goal. Jensen stepped out but couldn't control it. De Palma will at the right wing boards. To the right point for Julian. Back along the boards for Shedden. Right in front for De Palma. Cut off beautifully by Lafreniere. Lafreniere across on right wing at center for Rolacek, dashing into the Baltimore line. Left it on the right point for Shaughnessy. Swept away neatly by Shedden all the way to center zone for De Palma. And De Palma was sent cartwheeling at center zone by Sesik, whose penalty is over. Controlled at center, over the Baltimore line on the left wing for Jean-Marc Richard, swooping in behind the goal. Richard centered it right to the crease. Gordon falls on it, leaves it for Julian. Julian to the right wing boards for Shedden. Checked by Bartel, pinching in. Now Bartel centered it, blocked in front by Perkins. His drop pass for De Palma. He didn't expect it at the Baltimore line, but covering up immediately was Julian, with Lafreniere ready to step from the shadows. And Claude Julien drove it to center zone. Control by Trevor Steinberg there. He wheels across the left wing, over the Baltimore line into the corner. Centered it right in front, and De Palma was there. Now Larry De Palma dashing up the left side at center for the Jacks. Over the Fredericton line, poked off his stick by Bartel, and the trailer Shedden on his own momentum brought it back into the Fredericton zone, and that trapped the Jacks offside. 8:14 left, middle period. Jacks 2, Fredericton 2, and the Jacks have outshot Fredericton 7-1 at the 11:46 mark of this second period. 17-9 throughout. The Ian Armstrong goal early in this period at 2:43, his seventh from Perkins and Moylan, really establishing the tone, the tenor and tempo of this period. The faceoff will be barely outside the Fredericton blue line, across the way from us on the Skipjack left wing. Charlie Meitner will center. Driscoll then May out on this combination. Now from the faceoff, scurrying up the right side at center as Ian Kidd over the ball line for Tressel, shooting Gordon, the save. The rebound is right in front, and Gagne was there. Gagne on left wing at his own line for Mayotte in the middle at center for Driscoll, who barrels into the Fredericton line through the circle. The backhander right on. Oh, Jensen the save. That one seemed to handcuff him with the Skipjacks, Jacques Mayotte really creating a distraction as he was really charging the crease for the Jacks. 7:52 left, middle period, and Jacques Mayotte's rather intimidating presence there nearly, shall we say, distracted the concentration, the focus of the goaltender Jensen on the Driscoll, somewhat whispering-like backhander. It was a waffling backhander by Driscoll as he barged his way through the left circle. From the faceoff, breaking out of the pack with it on right wing at center is Lanthier. Lanthier was skated off though by Albrecht. Cliff Albrecht at his own line on the Baltimore left defense. On right wing at center for Mayotte, who crosses the Fredericton line right in front for Meitner, and it squirmed off his stick as Meitner was bursting through the defense. Puck all the way back to center zone. Mayotte again for Driscoll over the Fredericton line. Now Driscoll, top of the left circle, was bowled over on the defense by Agnew. He sends Rolacek on his way to center. Rolacek for Lanthier on left wing. Back cross ice on the right side for Rolacek. Rolacek from the Baltimore blue line drove it in behind the goal. Gagne will cover. Now Wayne Gagne right in front of the goal for Meitner. Meitner leads crisply on left wing at center for Mayotte, who hits the Fredericton line, wheeling across to the right wing boards, leaving it there for Armstrong. The weak shot was halted in front before it reached the crease by Shaughnessy. Controlled along the Fredericton left wing boards. On the defense by Poudre, is pass stolen by Kennedy. Kennedy pours to the circle, shooting right on. And Jensen the save, and he'll kneel on it. No further play. A break of the action. 6:52 left, second period. Jacks 2, Fredericton 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. From the faceoff, Fredericton controls. Nanashek's pass halted at the Baltimore line by Keith Miller. Miller on left wing at center, drove it in behind the Fredericton goal. No steals from the defense, centered to the crease. Oh, and a rising snow shower. Miller fired it wide. Contained left point by Moylan with a shot. Right on, and Jensen sealed the angle. And body blocks that one and smothers it. No further play. Boy, that was a real bang-bang play at the crease as Keith Miller crashed the crease for the Jacks in a rising snow shower and almost muscled that puck home through all the turbulence there. The faceoff will be right of Jensen, Fredericton goal. The Jacks have kept Jensen under a constant siege, outshooting Fredericton 11-2 in this second period. No in the faceoff with Lafreniere. Control behind the Fredericton goal. On the defense by Jean-Marc Richard in the middle at center for Lafreniere over the Baltimore line. Along the left wing boards for Sepsic, who centered it right to the crease, swept away by Gordon, but loose in front. Lafreniere fired. Great save, Gordon. And back on the Jacks Miller. Across on right wing at center for Armstrong. That one handcuffed him. He couldn't control it. Controlled instead in front of the Fredericton goal by Lafreniere. Up on right wing at center for Richard, reaching the Baltimore line, bodied along the boards heavily by Moylan, who wraps up Richard rather assertively, and back come the Jacks. Ian Armstrong barrels up the right side at center. At the Fredericton line, he overskated it. Covering behind the goal for Fredericton. Action halted on a delay. The whistle sounds. I think the Jacks were offside anyway. No further play. So we want to remind you that in our second intermission, we'll have a real treat. Mr. Gilles Leger, who is the president of the Fredericton Express and the director of player personnel for the Quebec Nordiques, and the man largely responsible for keeping the Skipjacks in existence through player assignments this season from the Quebec Nordiques, will be our special guest live in our second intermission tonight. So please stay tuned for that. He is a very special man as far as the Skipjacks organization is concerned. Now from the faceoff, Cliff Albrecht deep in the Baltimore left wing corner controls, leading at his own line for Brimmer. Across on right wing at center for a streaking Doug Shedden. Skated off by Bartel, but trailing Brimmer. Leaves it at the center red line on right wing for Gagne with a rising shot over top of the net. Puck deep in the Fredericton right corner. Kidd entangled by Shedden, but on the scene to cover up Tressel. Right in front of the goal, the pass was nearly stolen by DePalma, who was lying in wait. Finally knocked back to center zone by Bartel. It comes back to Bartel again. At his own line for Kidd on right wing at center for Steinberg, who reaches the Baltimore line. Pulling up along the boards. Checked by Albrecht, who's had a stellar game tonight. Controlled at the Jacks line by Brimmer. Chuck Brimmer to center. Skated off by Lotta. Rolled back into the Baltimore zone from left wing by Steinberg. Fredericton changing. Larry DePalma behind the goal will pull up and control it. Now DePalma will start out across to the right board, still inside the line for Albrecht. The breakaway pass for Shedden, who had penetrated behind the defense, but it sailed past him down ice and reached behind the goal by the Express defenseman Daniel Poudrier. Baltimore charged for icing. 4:28 left, second period, and it's a 2-2 tie for the Baltimore Arena. The sole goal in this period engineered by the Jacks at Ian Armstrong at 2:43, an early strike from Terry Perkins and Dave Moylan. The other Jacks goal was also of the game-tying variety. It was Charlie Meitner's ninth from Brimmer and Kennedy back at 13:27 of the opening period. Yaroslav Sefcik has accounted for both of the Fredericton goals, both produced in the first period. Face-off circle right of Gordon, Jacks goal. Meitner and Rolacek, the principals. Rolacek control to the left point for Agnew, and Agnew was already backing up to center zone. Controlled at center circle by Huff, though, and Huff for Fredericton drove it into the Baltimore zone. Julian behind the goal. Around the boards on left wing for Mayotte. It caromed off escape, but it comes back to him. Now Mayotte at his own line. Motoring to center. Over the Fredericton line. Leaving it for Meitner left circle. Meitner right in front for Julian. Pouring in from the right point, and he was checked at the last instant by Mayotte. They jammed forward along the offensive right wing boards. Perkins was there with Rolacek, but Rolacek controls. At center for Poudre, who sailed it in behind the goal. Julian will round the net with it on the left side. Turned it over in front to Huff, but covering beautifully was Moylan at the doorstep. Moylan on right wing in his own line for Perkins, who drove it into Fredericton territory. Controlled along the Fredericton left boards by defenseman Jim Agnew. Across on the right side for Poudre. Up the boards at center, Relanthier stripped to the puck by Meitner. Charlie Meitner sends it back into the Fredericton zone, and Meitner controlled by Poudre at center. Over the Baltimore line on right wing for scampering. Jean-Marc Lanthier rubbed out along the boards robustly by Julian. Dug out in the Jacks right corner by Terry Perkins, who had dropped back. Now Perkins is underway. At center, Terry Perkins storms in over the Fredericton line, pulls up on the right side. Backhand into the corner there. Mayotte was checked, though, by Richard. Captured in front of the goal by Lafreniere, and Fredericton's away. Lafreniere at center for Mike Natashek. The former Bowling Green standout over the Baltimore line, spilled from behind by Miller, and there'll be a Baltimore penalty to Keith Miller for tripping at 17:11. Mike Natashek was pouring in over the Baltimore line, and just as he reached the area above the hash marks in between them, between the circles, he was unceremoniously sent capsizing from behind by Keith Miller, and again, the Jacks absorb a penalty late in the period. This one occurring with 2:49 left in the middle period. Fredericton's first power play of the night. A break of the action. Jacks 2, Fredericton 2 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Skipjacks penalty number 26, Keith Miller. 2 minutes for tripping. Time of the penalty, 17-11.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. Face-off circle left of Gordon. Jacks goal, Fredericton's first power play of the night. From the face-off, Larry DePalma will control it at his own line on the left side, and he fires it down ice. Corral behind the goal by Max Mindendorf. His first shift of the night, 6'4" and 190. Now Mindendorf across on the left wing at center for Richard, and back for Mindendorf. And back for Richard over the Baltimore line around DePalma into the left circle, shooting! And Perkins reached across across at the last split instant and deflected that one high and wide, but is contained on the left point by Steinberg. Along the boards for Richard, who holds back for Steinberg on the left point. Now top of the circle for Richard. Across all the way to the right wing boards for Lada. Back to the right point for Mindendorf. Mindendorf charges into the circle all the way back to the left point for Steinberg with a rising shot over top of the net. Rebound of the ball over that boards. Moylan right in front of the goal for Julian. And Claude Julian propels that one masterfully down ice. Coming up to 1 minute for the power play and 1:49 for the period. It's a 2-2 tie. Now Mindendorf behind the goal leads for Huff, circling the net on the right side. Mike Huff at his own line as Gagne fell. Huff at center. Oh, the ball's line. The drop pass for Poudre right in front for Huff. He's right in on goal. The backhander, he scores! Mike Huff as that puck barely crawled over the goal line. And Fredericton gains its third lead of the night, 3-2. Boy, Mike Huff just moved right in on top of Gordon. The backhander deflected off Gordon as he was toppling in the crease, and that puck utterly snailed over the goal line. And Fredericton strikes on the power play. The Jacks penalty killing, of course, has been highly suspect all season long. And with 1:33 remaining in the second period, the visiting Express, winless in its first 5 games of this 10-game, 19-day road trip, achieves its third lead of the night at 3-2, despite the fact the Jacks have outshot them 11-4 in this second period. But the Jacks' lack of a neck again on the attack continues to really damage them. Huff from Poudre and Mindendorf, the power play specialist at 18:27. That is the 74th power play goal yielded by the Jacks, the 84th power play goal scored by Fredericton. From the faceoff, Wayne Gagne springs to center. Over the Fredericton line, around Bartel, right in front for No! Shoots, he scores! JF No! Jacks tie it again, 3-3. Skipjacks, very resilient here tonight. Bounce right back and tie it for a third time. Just 26 seconds after Huff had connected. No's 13th, his third in as many games. Wayne Gagne that time. Just exploded past Robin Bartel on the Fredericton Express defense. And found J.F. No. It penetrated behind enemy lines, right in on goal. And No deked Jensen from the crease and deposited at home a sleek silk backhander. From the face-off lot at center of the Baltimore line. He's through the defense. He's right in on goal. Jerked down from behind. There'll be a Baltimore penalty coming up. Puck controlled center point. The shot by Agnew was right on. Gordon the save. The right goalpost removed from its moorings. And now the Skipjacks will be short-handed again. And Dave Lada that time just thundered right through. He bisected that Skipjack defense of Albrecht and Gagne. And it was Cliff Albrecht who will swallow the penalty at 19:28. As he was obviously victimized, and he reached back and yanked down Lada just as Lada was set to pour right in on goal. It was no from Gagne at 18:53. Albrecht for hooking 2 minutes at 19:28. So we are closing this second period with a flourish. The two teams trading goals in 26 seconds with 1:33 left in the period. The Jacks have never led, but they have tied it 3 times. And Fredericton will have its second power play of the night. They are 1 for 1. Jacks are 0 for 2 in that department. Face-off circle right of Gordon, Jack's goal. Perkins and Lafreniere on the face-off. All ready to go. Waiting for the linesman. Won by Lafreniere. Lafreniere along the boards, rudely upended by Terry Perkins, who strong-armed him to fire it down ice. Max Mindendorf behind the goal with 20 seconds remaining in the second period. He'll drop it off for the trailer. Jean-Marc Richard. He's forced back in front of the goal by the forward-checking persistence of Gagne and Perkins. Richard on left wing at center. Foulat over the ball. We're lining through the defense. He's ready to goal with a shot. Oh, a spellbinding save by Gordon with 4 seconds left in the period. And Wayne Gagne on the left wing boards launches it over the glass into the crowd for temporary relief. No further play with 1 second remaining in the period. And again, Dave Lotta just burst through the Skipjacks separating defense. And the Jacks defense has been rather vulnerable in the waning moments of this second period. 1 precious second remaining in the period. Face-off circle left of Gordon, who really rescued his mates from dire straits with a fabulous save on Dave Lotta. The puck is dropped between Lafreniere and Perkins. The horn sounds, and a very exciting second period. Tied it 3 times, and they've outshot Fredericton 22-15, 10-8 in the first period, 12-7 in the second period. Jack's goal-getters tonight, Charlie Meitner's 9th in the first period, Ian Armstrong 7th, J.F. Nose 13th, both coming in the second period. Yaroslav Sefcik with a pair of first-period goals by Fredericton, and Mike Huff scoring on a Fredericton power play, their only previous one with the extra man late in the second period. From the faceoff, Terry Perkins crosses the Fredericton line and fired one right in on goal. The stick saved by Jensen. Rebound behind the goal, lassoed by Richard. Jean-Marc Richard at his own line for Rolacek. In the middle at center for Mindendorf. Over the ball to the line on the left side for Lanthier. Boy, that was fleeced off his stick magically by Perkins, who drove it to the Fredericton line. Controlled by Middendorf. On right wing at center, Lanthier, who zooms in over the ball to the line, leaves it along the boards for the trailer Rolacek. Back to the right point for Middendorf. Now Middendorf loads the gun, right circle for Rolacek. He wheels along the boards with a pirouette. Center point for Middendorf. Along the left wing boards for Huff. Julian knocked that away but contained left point by Richard. Along the boards for Mike Huff again. Back for Richard. Richard at the left point. Back along the boards for Huff. Huff holds in the circle. Side of the goal for Lanthier. Lanthier forced into the corner boards by Hoover, who cracked him down lustily. It's fired to the line by Gagne for Perkins, and Terry Perkins whisks it the rest of the way down ice. And there will be a Fredericton penalty for cross-checking at 1:09 to Mike Huff, who retaliated on Tim Hoover after Hoover had slammed him to the ice, and then Huff fires the puck off the penalty box door as he enters the penalty box, and he'll receive an additional 2-minute minor for unsportsmanlike conduct. And suddenly the Skipjacks in 19 seconds will be presented almost a 4-minute power play. Albrecht still has 19 seconds to serve in his spillover penalty from the second period. It'll be Huff, 2 minutes for cross-checking in the offensive left wing corner, and 2 minutes for unsportsmanlike conduct when he drilled the puck right in front of the penalty box door off the boards as he entered the penalty box. And referee Ron Schick had no patience with Huff's antics. In 19 seconds, the Albrecht penalty will expire, and the Jacks will be presented nearly a 4-minute power play and a glorious opportunity to fracture this 3-3 standoff that they have created 3 times tonight. From the faceoff, deep in the Fredericton right wing corner, Poudre cracked by De Palma, contained left point by Julian, right in front for De Palma, and he just barely failed to deflect that one as he was streaking through the doorstep. Puck deep in the offensive right wing corner, dug out by Shedden. He couldn't control, though. He was off balance. Controlled in front of the goal instead by Poudre, who fired it right to Scott Gordon. And the Jacks have a full-fledged power play for over 3.5 minutes as Albrecht is on. Now Julian behind the goal. Dish into the right corner boards for Gagne, who fell, but Julian is there to cover up. Angling it up on left wing at center for Shedden. He couldn't catch up with that. Controlled at the Fredericton line by Lafreniere. Roger Lafreniere across on right wing at center for Lotto. Zooms in over the Baltimore line, swerving through the circle. Checked from behind by Julian. Corralled in the right wing boards by Gagne. In the middle at center for Doug Shedden. Now Shedden leaves for Julian. Claude Julian storms it over the Fredericton line. Pulls up along the left wing board. Dishes in the corner for Perkins. Now Perkins wheels along the corner boards. Pulls up. Leaves it for De Palma. Down low side of the goal for Shedden. Shedden bolts into the left circle. Pulls up. Left point for Julian. Top of the circle for Shedden. Shoots. That struck De Palma in front. Deflects to the Fredericton right wing boards, and Lafreniere is there to fire it down ice. 2:35 for the power play. Gagne at his own line at center. Over the Fredericton line for De Palma through the defense. He's right in on goal. The De Palma backhander right through the open side of the crease. Back comes Fredericton. Ian Kidd on right wing at center. Flutters it into the Baltimore right corner. Gagne is there to cover, leaving for JF No. Now opposite corner left side for Julian, and back behind the goal for Gagne. 2:12 for the power play. Gagne for Julian. Up on left wing at his own line for Keith Miller. Miller in the middle at center. For No, he couldn't reach that, but trailing is Gagne. Wayne Gagne at center, darts it over the Fredericton line, shoots! Oh, that was just wide. That one seemed to surprise Jensen on the short side. Rebound right circle for No, and he lost control as he was trying to pour in front to roll the check, and he drove it to the Baltimore line. Control by Julian. Claude Julian through center. Over the Fredericton line, and Keith Miller is offside on right wing. No further play. 1:42 for the power play. The Jacks third of the night. They're 1 for 30 in their last 8 games on the power play, including this game tonight. 16:33 left for regulation, and it's a 3-3 tie. And again, our many thanks to Gilles Leger, not only for being our special guest, but for being such a special friend of the independent Skipjacks this season. Now from the faceoff, Keith Miller at center, hits the Fredericton line, lost control, comes back outside the line, and Albrecht on the left side lashed it in behind the Fredericton goal. Covering there is Scott Shaughnessy, and he sails it down ice. Tim Hoover, who did not play in the second period due to stomach problems, cavorts behind the goal to cradle it. He'll engineer the power play rush. Hoover angles it up on right wing at center for Ian Armstrong over the Fredericton line for No, and back for Armstrong, wheeling into the corner, centered for Miller in front. He was wrapped up by Richard. They jammed forward in the corner. Dug out by Lotta. Lotta lost it to Armstrong right in front for No with a shot. What a save by Jensen. Rebound right point for Hoover. He shoots right on. Jensen the save, and he'll hold on with No being ushered from the goal crease by Richard, Armstrong, and Shaughnessy, who battled earlier on in this game, were again tangling truculently at the edge of the crease before the linesman intervened. 15:45 for the third period. 54 seconds for the Jacks power play, and the double minor for Mike Huff. The Jacks have limited this high-octane, high-tech Fredericton attack, which leads the league with 295 goals, to a mere 16 shots thus far tonight. Face-off circle right of Jensen, Fredericton goal. Perkins in the face-off with Jeff Rolacek, the second-year pro and former second-round draft of Vancouver. Sticks come down. Won by Perkins, center point for Julian. He couldn't quite reach it. Action halted. And I believe that the pass was gloved. I think when Perkins was toppling after winning the faceoff, he directed it with his glove back through between the point men Gagne and Julian. And once Julian caught up with the puck at center circle, the whistle sounded on the hand pass. Faceoff outside the Fredericton line. Perkins and Rolacek. 50 seconds still remaining in the power play. Perkins won it, steps it over the Fredericton line, but Doug Shedden had already preceded over the line on the right side in anticipation of the Perkins winning of the draw. No further play. Gagne hurries to the Baltimore bench for a new stick. And we'll have an encore barely outside the Fredericton line. Express this season have allowed 78 power play goals against their penalty killing efficiency 77.5% entering tonight's game. Gagne on right wing at center does a spin around it to redirect it to his own line for Julian. Up on left wing at center for Meitner, who drove it across into the Fredericton right wing corner. Shedden is there, leaving for Perkins. Right point for Gagne. Center point for Julian. He shoots right on, kicked out by Jensen. The rebound in front, and Meitner fired it wide. Rebound all the way through to the right wing boards for Shedden. Now Shedden holds at the hash mark. Right point for Gagne. Right in front for Shedden at the crease, and sprawling on that one was Jensen. No further play. As Doug Shedden that time bowled his way through the doorstep, and Wayne Gagne attempted to really finesse one through, and he almost executed the effort masterfully. Still 15 seconds remaining in the power play. De Palma over the boards to replace Brimmer. Face-off will be circle right. Make it to Meitner, not Brimmer. Circle right. It'll unravel of the goaltender Jensen. Perkins and Rolacek all ready to go, waiting for the linesmen. They draw swords. One by Perkins, center point for Gagne, left point for Julian. The shot is wide. Rebound to the right boards for De Palma. De Palma into the circle, shoots, blocked in front by Agnew, deflects to the left wing boards. Dug out by Perkins, poked it in the corner. Poudre was there as Huff steps back on. Poudre dishes left corner boards for Agnew. Back behind the goal for Daniel Poudre, who just strokes it down ice. Reaching it behind the Jacks goal is Wayne Gagne, and Fredericton is charged for icing. A break of the action, 14:39 left. Jacks 3, Fredericton 3. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Baltimore Skipjacks Hockey Network.
029-5226. That winner will receive a cash prize. Tonight's second winning number.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live for the Baltimore Arena. The face-off will have its occurrence circle right of Jensen, Fredericton goal. 14:39 left, third period. It's a 3-3 tie in a game that has seen the Jacks never lead, but deadlock it 3 times. No won the face-off, and he drove one right on goal. Jensen the save. Rebound control by Fredericton. Kidd in the middle at center for Tressel. That was disrupted by Kennedy. Bob Kennedy to his own line up on right wing at center for Armstrong. Over the Fredericton line for No. No into the right circle. Pulls up across left point for Moylan with a shot. Kicked out by Jensen, who was tipped over in the crease by Mayotte. And there'll be a Baltimore interference penalty to Jacques Mayotte at 5:43 for interference. Jacques Mayotte that time had the blade of his stick lodged in the skate of Jensen, and he just jerked down Jensen at the crease after the Fredericton goaltender had sealed the angle on the Moylan shot as the latter was pouring in from the left point. And Mayotte continues to accumulate penalty minutes. He has 14 more tonight, and he now has a grand total of 57 in his first 4 games as a skipjack. That's an average of over 14 penalty minutes per game. He had 706 penalty minutes last season with Rimouski in the Quebec Junior League. Face-off outside the Fredericton blue line. They are 1 for 2 on the power play tonight. Now Max Middendorf at his own line, the power play specialist, center circle over the Baltimore line. Along the left wing boards for Lauda, back center point for Middendorf. That one was really a marshmallowy one, and it skids back to center zone. Lauda has it again, stepping in over the Baltimore line. He tried to center one in front for Tressel. Knocked down by Hoover, deflects to the left wing boards, where Larry De Palma fires it down ice and right on goal. And Jensen played that one very warily. Covering behind the goal is Middendorf. Now Max Middendorf on left wing in his own line for Richard. Back from Middendorf in the middle at center. He barrels it over the Baltimore line, and offside on the left side was Roger Lafreniere. And that offside was created by Wayne Gagne, who just shoved Lafreniere over the blue line. 1:22 left in the penalty to Mayotte. 13:39 for regulation, and we're waging 3-3 warfare. Faceoff will be outside the Baltimore blue line across the way from us on the Jacks right wing. Wayne Gagne being employed as a forward with Larry DePalma, and he took the faceoff with Lafreniere, who won it. From center circle, Middendorf drifts it into the Baltimore right corner. Julian's pass up the boards for Gagne, halted by Lafreniere. To the left point for Richard with a shot, and he ripped that one just wide. Rebound to the right wing boards. Corralled there by Ladislav Tressel. Tressel pivots in the circle. Now he does a spin around in the circle. Fires it all the way across to the left boards for Lafreniere. To the left point for Richard. Now Richard to the right point for Middendorf. In the circle for Tressel. Across left corner for Lafreniere. Back to the left point for Richard. Shoots. Oh, Gordon the save. The rebound in front. Knelt on by Julian. Jab loose by Lafreniere after the whistle. Larry DePalma just glares at Lafreniere, and he maneuvers Lafreniere all the way to the Baltimore right wing boards in a very intimidating fashion. 13 minutes for regulation, still 43 seconds for the Mayotte penalty. Fredericton has been dominating puck control in Skipjack territory. Face-off right of Gordon, Jack's goal. This has been now right at the Fredericton players bench. Middendorf and DePalma were set to square off. The Fredericton penalty box door, and make it the players bench door, was open, but DePalma was there, and so was Middendorf, who's only been employed on the right point on Fredericton power plays tonight. But the referee and the linesman immediately converged, and DePalma, who was suspended twice from the IHL this season, is finally mollified, and so is Middendorf. Okay, Larry DePalma will make things happen when he's on the ice. He's around the puck like a hound dog, and he also has a lot of skills. He's a very skilled player, has some savvy and moxie, in addition to being a physical enforcer. And he has been a dimension that the Jacks have seriously needed all season long. Face-off circle right of Gordon. It'll be Perkins and Rolacek. 43 seconds for the power play. Sticks come down. One by Perkins. He's been invincible tonight. Dragged to the backboards by Hoover. Delivering it right boards for Gagne. Clearing to the line. Poudre contains. Poudre along the left wing boards for Rolacek. Back to the left point for Poudre. To the right point for Kidd. The shot is wide. Rebound to the Baltimore right boards. Gagne is there, but Poudre barges in from the point to strip Gagne of the puck. Now Poudre to the left point for Lanthier. In the circle for Poudre. The shot is wide. Rebound to the right wing boards for Huff. Now Mike Huff pulls up. He still has it. Working on Perkins at the edge of the circle. Back to the right point for Kidd. Kidd fired. That's way wide. Rebound all the way back to the left point for Poudre. Pinching in. Penalty over to Mayotte. Poudre left corner for Huff. Huff shoots. Hit the side of the net. Rebound into the right corner. And Claude Julien is there to wind it around the boards. Down ice. Reached behind the goal by Kidd. Jacks charged with icing, a break of the action. 12:02 left. Jacks 3, Fredericton 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
Saturday, March the 5th, after the Jacks Whalers game, the event features celebrity auctioneers, autographed NHL and AHL hockey items, dinners with the players, and much more. That's Saturday, March the 5th, after the Jacks Whalers game, the annual Booster Club charity auction.
Terry Ficarelli rejoining you live from the Baltimore Arena. 12:02 left and a 3-3 tie. It's been scoreless thus far in this third stanza. Faceoff will be left of Gordon, Jack's goal. And the Jacks penalty killers were supreme during that last Fredericton power play, their third of the night. Now Gordon skates out of the goal, paddles it up on right wing himself for Ian Armstrong. He launches a rainbow all the way to the Fredericton line. No, nearly steals from the falling Fredericton defenseman Richard. Keith Miller did, as he was the trailer right at the express blue line, but no, had fallen inside the line and he was offside. And that'll produce a face-off outside the Fredericton blue line below us on the Baltimore left wing. 11:51 remaining for regulation time. and it's a 3-3 tie. JF No has triggered goals in each of his last 3 games, including this one tonight, opposing Ladislav Tressel. No one at center circle. Moylan backhand into the Fredericton left corner. Covering the Karam Agnew ahead of the on-rushing JF No. Now Jim Agnew ahead at his own line for Trevor Steinberg. Steinberg on left wing at center, trying to muscle his way past Kennedy at the Baltimore line. Kennedy forced him wide of the boards and rubbed him out. Puck in behind the goal. No shoulders Tressel lustily and takes control. JF No along the left wing boards for Miller. Now Keith Miller for No at his own line, and the Jacks are away. No breaks out of the pack at center over the Fredericton line. Left circle for Miller with a shot, and he snapped it wide. Rebound to the right corner for Armstrong. Around the backboards, left corner for Miller. Miller launched one across the crease all the way to the right boards for Armstrong. Shooting right through the crease. It caroms off the Fredericton right wing corner boards all the way down ice. Gordon out of the goal, sets it up in the left circle for Moylan. Angling it across on right wing at center for Bob Kennedy. At the Fredericton line for De Palma, checked by Natashek, controlled by Sefcik. Sefcik at center, on the right side, over the Baltimore line. Along the boards, checked by Meitner, and a falling Cliff Albrecht nudged one back to center zone, where Ian Kidd sends it back behind the Jacks goal. Gordon himself steers it around the right wing boards for Doug Shedden at his own line. Shedden in the middle at center for Meitner over the Fredericton line, leaving for De Palma. He didn't expect it on left wing. Back comes Fredericton. Natashek at center. Over the Baltimore line for Sefcik. Thumped down the defense by Gagne, and for the right board, Shedden clears the zone. It's poked right back into the Baltimore zone, and covering up on the left defense is Albrecht. Now Cliff Albrecht at his own line. Lugs it to center. Shoots right on. Jensen guides that one left corner for Richard. Behind the goal for Kidd. Ian Kidd into the right corner for Natashek, who drove it cross ice to an open wing at center. De Palma's there. His pass halted at center by Lafreniere. Over the Baltimore line around Gagne, and Shedden sped back and rode off Lafreniere and sent it back to center. Control by Sefcik over the Baltimore line for Lafreniere, sending Lanthier streaking after it behind the goal. Muscled at the backboards by Gagne, dug out in the Baltimore left corner by Meitner. Up the boards at center for De Palma, dashing in over the Fredericton line, working on Poudre, who spun him around and dropped him in front. Controlled in the Fredericton right corner by a toppling Yaroslav Sefcik. Around the backboards on left wing for Agnew. Agnew in the middle of center for Lafreniere, passed him to the Baltimore line, controlled by Moylan. On right wing at center for Shedden, over the Fredericton line. Shedden tried to roll one in front for Mayat, blocked down the defense by Poudrier. At center for Lanthier, who drove it in the Baltimore zone. Moylan on the left defense. Up the boards at center for Mayat. Beyond him, all the way behind the Fredericton goal, 9-12 left. Now Poudrier in front of the goal. Lost it left corner to Driscoll. Driscoll centered it, but Mayat at the top of the slot was without a stick. And of course it eludes him all the way back behind the Jacks goal, where Claude Julien will reclaim it for the defense. Now Julien for the Jacks, eases it along the right boards for Terry Perkins. His pass stolen in the circle by Rolacek with a shot, sticked aside by Gordon. Rebound behind the goal for Julien. Up on right wing in his own line for Terry Perkins, who springs to center. Perkins over the Fredericton line, pulls up along the right wing board, still has it, centered it. Moylan right in front, shoots, scores! Dave Moylan, Jacks lead, 4-3. Stormed in over the Fredericton line, pulled up, pivoted along the right wing boards at the hash mark, and found Dave Moylan very unobtrusively escaping notice from the left point, pouring right in on goal, and Moylan made short, fast order of that one, as he just ripped a rooftop rocket barely underneath the crossbar at 11:24. Moylan second in as many games from Perkins and Driscoll on a play that started deep in the Baltimore zone at 11:24. And the Jacks have gained their first lead of the night at 4-3. And from the face-off, the Jacks are offside at the Fredericton line on left wing. The Jacks have been ferocious tonight. They have really been a very tenacious contingent. They have battled back from 3 1-goal deficits, tying it each time, and finally they have broken through and earned their first lead of the night, and we're into the final 8:23 of regulation. It's 4-3 Jacks. From the face-off, Controlled at center zone. On the left side by JF. No, he scampers in over the Fredericton line along the boards. He was really crunched there by Kidd. Control behind the goal by Tressel. Now he escapes the clutches of Keith Miller. Ladislav Tressel gathering speed at center over the Baltimore line, but J.F. Noah and Cliff Albrecht converge on Trevor Steinberg and scissored him and then muscled him over the blue line, forcing the Fredericton offside. 8:02 left. A break of the action. Jacks 4, Fredericton 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network. Now from the face-off, puck skids in behind the Fredericton goal. On it is Jim Agnew for the defense. Now Agnew at his own line, lugs it up the right side at center over the Baltimore line for Tressel. He tried to chase it down right in on goal, but Gordon swept it away, contained left point by Agnew's. Checked neatly by No. JF No at his own line. He turned it over though, the puck skims in front, and Julian is on the scene. Claude Julian ahead. At center for Armstrong, knocked away by Poudre, who sends Dave Lana zooming in over the Baltimore line along the left wing boards for Tressel. Tressel in the circle, jabbed off his stick by No. And from the right wing boards of the Baltimore line, it's Keith Miller to propel it into Fredericton territory. The Jacks are changing. In front of the goal, Richard on left wing at center for Lana, who drove it into the Baltimore left quarter. Covering the carom is Albrecht, angling it across on right wing at his own line for Shedden. Doug Shedden drifts it into the Fredericton zone. Covering up behind the goal, Sefcik, checked by Meitner, squirms in front, covering up though Middendorf. Middendorf was cracked down by Shedden, who nearly stole it in the right circle. It's stolen instead at the right point by Meitner with a shot. Bad save, Jensen, rebound in front to Palma's shot, and Jensen closed the door on that one. Covering behind the goal is Kidd. Meitner really stalking and hawking his prey in front. He was nearly pitchforked in the crease by the goaltender Jensen as the puck sails into the crowd. Boy, Charlie Meitner was hounding and haranguing right at the edge of the Fredericton crease while the Express defense and Ian Kidd had puck possession behind the goal, and Jensen, purely in exasperation of Meitner's persistent presence, nearly pitchforked Darren Jensen. I should say, it was Jensen nearly pitchforked Meitner. Now from the faceoff, 6:30 left. At the center red line on the left wing, Richard shoots right on. It's Gordon to guide it into the right corner for Gagne, who rounds the net on the left side. Gagne wrapped it off the boards to center. Control there by Kidd. His pass halted at center circle by Shedden, who drove it into the Fredericton left corner. Swooping in after it is De Palma. Crunched by Kidd. Dug out in the Fredericton right wing corner by Lafreniere. At center for Sefcik, over the Baltimore line for Middendorf, skidded off his skate into the Jacks left wing corner. Julian is on it. His clearing pass halted by Lafreniere, poked off his stick by De Palma, streaks after it in the Fredericton zone. He was cut off at the pass by Agnew, who came across, and he sends it to the Baltimore line. Controlled by Hoover on the left side. Up the boards at center for De Palma, checked by Poudre, controlled by Lanthier. Back to his own line on the right defense for Agnew. The Jacks are forechecking tenaciously. Now Agnew in front of the goal for Lanthier, in the middle at center for Sefcik. Over the Baltimore line, wheeling along the left wing boards, working on Julian. Now Sefcik pulls up in the corner, centered it. Poudrier right in front was checked by Hoover, and back come the Jacks. Terry Perkins explodes to center. Over the Fredericton line, he's through the defense, he's right in on goal! And he was upended from behind by Agnew. Puck dug out though in the right corner by Mayotte, in the circle for Perkins, who ripped it wide. Rebound to the left point for Albrecht. Albrecht left circle for Driscoll, centering it for Perkins in front, and Agnew stepped in front of that one and blocked it before it reached Perkins and sends it to the goaltender Gordon. Gordon himself on right wing in his own line for Perkins. Terry Perkins through center at the Fredericton line, fired, stick save Jensen. Rebound behind the goal. Controlled by Richard on left wing at center for Huff. 4:44 left as Huff romps it over the Baltimore line. Centered it. Lanthier was checked in front. Contained on the right point by Kidd, who fired it wide. Rebound on the left point for Richard, escaping the sprawling check of no from the circle. Richard fired it wide. Rebound caroms off the Baltimore left wing corner boards. All the way back into the Fredericton right corner. Jensen tried to hide it away from no. Oh, Miller stepped in and nearly stole it from Jensen as he was lurking in the shadows. Finally covering up Richard. Stolen by Julian, pinching in from the right point. Julian behind the goal for no. He just left it there as Kidd wrote him off. Dug out in the Fredericton left corner by Steinberg. His pass halted at the line by No, who's had a strong game tonight. JF No drove it into the Fredericton right corner. Kidd will cover with 4 minutes left. Ian Kidd at his own line evades the check of a sprawling JF No at center and drove it into the Baltimore zone. Controlled by Armstrong. Across on the left side. On the defense for Boylan. Boylan just nudged one to center zone, where it's controlled all the way back to the Fredericton line by Poudrier. Daniel Poudrier to center. Over the Baltimore line. Swerving through the left circle. Forced wide of the corner boards by Julian, who rode him off. And from behind the Jacks goal, Dave Boylan drove it down ice. They'll nullify icing with 3:28 left. Captured behind the goal by Agnew. Snaps it crisply up on left wing in his own line for Tressel. Evading the Shedden check, but stolen by Meitner. Over the Fredericton line for Shedden from the right circle. He was rudely sent tumbling by Tressel. And Fredericton will start out. Loud at his own line, overpowered by De Palma, who steals at the Fredericton line for Shedden with a shot. Jensen the save. Rebound into the left wing corner, digging it after it is De Palma. De Palma along the boards for Perkins. Checked by Tressel. Now Perkins with a second effort. Rolled one right in front, and Shedden couldn't reach it. Agnew was there. Agnew on the defense. On left wing in his own line for Lana. Across on right wing at center for Lafreniere. Anticipated by Albrecht, who poked it back into the zone for Fredericton. Controlled by Lafreniere. Wheeling past the Shedden check at center circle. Lafreniere over the Baltimore line. Left circle for Mindorf around Gagne. Right in on goal. Jammed off his stick at the crease by Gordon. Controlled on right wing of the Baltimore line by Shedden. He drove it to the Fredericton line. 2:27 left. Controlled by Fredericton. Mindorf at center over the Baltimore line. Tried to overpower Gagne, and Albrecht was there to ride him off. Albrecht rolled it to the line. Sefcik blocked it. Sefcik top of the left circle for Lafreniere. To the crease from Mindendorf, and he fired it wide. The left goal post is off its moorings behind Gordon. No further play. A break in the action. 2:12 left. Jacks 4, Fredericton 3 on the Skipjacks Hockey Network.
And you're the winner of the Skipjacks Surprise Package. And you may pick up your prize at the scorer's table. That winning number again, 39122.
Terry Ficcarelli rejoining you live from a tense Baltimore Arena, where Dave Boylan's goal with 8:36 remaining broke a 3-3 tie and presented the Jacks their first lead of the night. We have 2:12 remaining. The Jacks have outshot Fredericton. They've outplayed them throughout. They've outshot them 32-19. They lead 4-3. Only Hershey, that's the only team the Jacks have defeated among their 9 victories this season. The only team that was above the 500 mark. Hershey, the Southern Division leader and overall league leader, and Fredericton, the Northern Division leader. From the faceoff, the puck wiggles right to the goaltender Jensen. He steered it in behind the goal, away from the ever-present JF No. Up the left boards for Huff. Across at his own line for Rolacek, dashing to center, shooting. Gordon knocked that one down. Covering it up behind the goal is Keith Miller. He fired to the line, contained left point by Richard with a shot, and he fired it wide. Rebound to the right point for Kidd. Checked by No. Dug out though in the offensive left corner by Lanthier. Leaving it there for Rolacek. Rolacek comes off the boards all the way to the blue line. Knocked away by Miller. Miller breaks after it at center, and he's dragged down by Huff. Controlled at center zone though by No. Now JF No on right wing, thunders in over the Fredericton line, pulls up top of the circle, skated off by Richard. 1:20 left. Richard on right wing at center for Lanthier. He drove it in behind the Baltimore goal. Covering up there is Julian, whipping it around the right wing boards for Doug Shedden. and Shedden rolls it gently to the Fredericton line with 1:07 left. Boudreau controls in the middle at center. Richard on the Baltimore line, left circle for Latta, and he fired it wide with a minute left. Puck deep in the Baltimore zone. Corralled on the left side by Larry DePalma. He romps to center over the Fredericton line, right in front for Shedden. He couldn't quite reach it at the crease. Dug out the right wing boards by DePalma, and Larry DePalma redirects it all the way back into his own zone. To the left wing boards for Albrecht. Albrecht clears to center. 38 seconds left. Jensen skates to the Fredericton bench. The net is empty. Puck is stolen at the line by DePalma, rolling it in front. Oh, and Meitner couldn't reach it. Tressel was there. Tressel fires it down ice. Gordon behind the goal will hold for Albrecht. 23 seconds left. Albrecht drove it off the boards, down ice, heading for the open goal, but out skating it was Agnew. Agnew's pass stolen, right circle by Meitner, right in front for Shedden. Shedden scores! Doug Shedden into the empty net. The Jacks will win their second in a row, 5-3. Charlie Meitner combined with 13 seconds remaining, and the Skipjacks, after a 13-game winless skid and a 9-game losing streak at home, will post their second consecutive victory, reaching for the third time their season high. Shedden, the former Fredericton Express right wing, and the only Jack player to play all of the 63 games this season, is 27th from Charlie Meitner, who stole it in the right circle, then found Shedden in front, waiting for it. From the faceoff, this hockey game is over! And the Baltimore Skipjacks have defeated the Northern Division leading Fredericton Express on the strength of 2 unanswered third period goals, and it is